Gentlemen, we are live. It is 4:30. Welcome to this meeting. Usual things apply in terms of escaping. If there's a fire alarm, it's real. And somebody's brought me flowers. Very good. So, should we do? So, I'm Gerald Thurn-Jackson. I'm Cabinet Member for Transport, and I'm chairing this meeting. Graham, who are you?
I'm Councillor Graham Heaney, and I'm the Labour Group spokesman for Transport. I'm not a little light works for the first time as well.
Simon.
Councillor Simon Bosher, Conservative Group.
Brian. Councillor Brian Madrick. You need to push your button, otherwise the world will not know it.
Councillor Brian Madrick, Independence.
Felicity.
Felicity Tibbury, Assistant Director for Transport.
Barbara Thomas, Principal Transport Planner, TROs.
Michelle.
Michelle Love, Safer Travel Manager.
Excellent. And?
For the time being.
Excellent. And Michelle, we need to formally record our thanks to you as your last meeting, although when do you officially go?
My last day is the 23rd of February, Councillor.
So we might see if we can get another meeting in before then. No. Michelle, thanks for all your work. It's been much appreciated.
Thank you very much.
Colleagues, we've got the report in front of us about making the TRO permanent. Colleagues, have you got any questions on this? No? Is there any need? Have we read the report? If we've read the report and there are no questions? Have you got Simon? Simon, what's your question? But if we've read the report and there are... And Simon, what is your question in relation to the report?
I've got questions.
Far away.
The first one is a grumpy question. This is a standard TRO. Why is it the subject of a one-off traffic and transportation meeting when we had a meeting last week and we've got one in a couple of weeks' time?
And it's only taken Simon an hour to get here. Felicity, why are we here?
So we would have brought it with the papers last week. However, due to the nature of, so it's a temporary TRO, we're seeking to make that permanent. We've sought advice from the Secretary of State to extend that temporary TRO, which unfortunately was declined. So we've needed to bring a paper back for a decision to the Cabinet Member for Transport to decide whether those temporary measures are made permanent. Through the temporary TRO, there was an objection raised. So to enable enough time for that person to be informed of the meeting, unfortunately we couldn't bring the paper to the last Cabinet meeting.
And it can't wait for the next one because it's time limited. Right.
So it's the Secretary of State's fault.
I'm still grumpy.
We all are in relation to Secretaries of State. Second question, Simon.
It's more of an observation apart from anything else, in so much that even though the figures suggest that the majority want this, it looks to me like the majority of residents that are actually in that Canal Walk area don't want it. And that would seem to, if you were to follow the logic that your predecessor always had, it would be to refuse it on that basis. But obviously it's your decision, Gerald, and yours alone.
Okay. Graham.
I have a question related to that because I noticed this is from the survey that was carried out in 2021 that we got the result on the Canal Walk residents, which it says 50% didn't want it. It says 21 residents of Canal Walk responded to the survey. How many residents or households, I don't know whether you talk about residents, individual households, actually responded to the survey? I mean, was it a majority of residents or properties in Canal Walk, or was it less than that?
I was going to say, in terms of the 2021, I don't have the detail on that, but the 2023, that is what's referenced in the report and what we have more detail on. And it went to, I believe it was 60 residents, letters dropped to residents in the local area. And
So
the
about-
response rate, we had 21 residents. Of
About a third response. And although it was done in the survey, they would have been aware of the permanent TRO being advertised, so they could have put in an objection if they wanted to subsequent to that. Yes, right. And we've only had a couple of objections. Okay, that.
Brian?
Are they going to ban scooters?
No.
On the contrary, Brian, by closing off the road to traffic, you have probably encouraged more use of scooters, I would suggest.
Which actually is the point of it. It's because that route along the northern side of the railway line, Sydenham Terrace, down into town, is a really heavily used east-west cycle and scooter route. And the point of the closure was to try to make sure that as people came down going from east to west, they weren't met with traffic, and therefore we tried to make it a little bit safer for cyclists and people using other forms of transport. The people who I've had moans from have been taxi drivers, but that was right at the beginning, a couple of years ago, and since then it's quietened down in terms of complaints, because it was a rat run. Okay, my view is that I think it's worked well, and it should continue and be permanent as a way of making sure that people who are using non-car means of transport have an incentive because it is perceived to be safer. Do we need to do anything else, Felicity, except shut up and go away? Okay, that's it then, folks. Thank you, Simon. You were wrong. It was 7 minutes.